Welcome to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSUN Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We are the largest grassroots advocacy network for people with mental illness and their family members, with over 800 national affiliates and 15 Kansas affiliates, with NAMI Wichita being one of those 15. We provide awareness, support, education, and advocacy for people affected by mental illness. Our purpose here is providing a community conversation on KSUN Radio that provides insight into what it's like to live with mental illness. Our intention and hope is that our program will change attitudes and assumptions and stereotypes about people with mental health conditions. My name is David Larson. I am pleased and proud to be your host today, and I am a person who lives with mental illness. I am in recovery for major depressive disorder. Like everyone, I struggle with the ups and downs of emotions and the changes and challenges of being fully human, but I am doing okay. And I know I have many gifts to offer my family, my friends, and my community. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest for today, Janet. Hello, Janet.
Hi.
So, Janet, let's begin by asking you the question, when did you first encounter the work of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and what work have you done with NAMI?
Well, I believe it was about the second year that our son was ill, and he was in the hospital at Good Shepherd, and a nurse gave us the booklet that has all the information in it. And so then we went to a NAMI meeting and met a lot of other people who had sons and daughters and that had mental illness, and understood a lot of what we were facing with a child that lives with mental illness.
Okay. So what work have you done in NAMI?
Well, I was vice president for a few years, and I really didn't do much of anything.
Hey, wait a minute! I'm the vice president now.
Hey,
You do a lot.
you shouldn't tell them things like that.
After I retired from teaching, I was trained for family-to-family classes, and so a friend, Victoria, and then also David helped us this past year. But we teach in the spring. We teach a class for family. It's called Family to Family, and it's for other family members and friends who have someone in their family or a friend of theirs that lives with a mental illness. And so it's very rewarding to do that. We usually have between 15 and 20 people in the class, and sometimes couples come who have a child, and or just different family members or friends come. So it's very, very helpful.
Okay. And I believe, if I remember right, you were at the NAMI Walk.
Oh, yes. My husband and I always go to the NAMI Walk, and of course that's the yearly big fundraiser for NAMI Kansas and for the local affiliates as well. So most of our funding, or a lot of our funding, for our Wichita affiliate comes from our walk.
Uh-huh. And how many years have you been doing the NAMI Walk?
Oh, goodness. Probably 8 or 9 now.
That's fantastic. That is awesome. Yeah, I just did my 3rd year this year, and that was it. So, and I got to dress up like the Wizard of Oz.
Well, good for you.
Yeah. So, what else can you tell us about your son's diagnosis?
Well, when he first became ill, we didn't know what was wrong with him, and he just was being very hard to get along with, I guess you'd say. He was just acting very different from normal. And it took us about 3 years before we got a diagnosis or got him to a psychiatrist and actually had an evaluation. And they said schizophrenia undifferentiated, because he did have paranoia, he was hearing voices, and those kind of symptoms, but they weren't sure what kind of schizophrenia it was going to be. Later on,
That was just to let me know that we're on time. So go ahead. Continue on.
So later on,
he was diagnosed with schizoaffective, which is a mixture of schizophrenia and bipolar. It just means that there's a mood along with the symptoms of the schizophrenia.
Okay.
So he's
if
always...
I came to your class, would you tell me about these things?
Yes.
And you'd explain all that to me.
Right. Our classes are 12 weeks. They're free for the members that come. We are volunteer teachers, and one of the classes is on the major mental illnesses.
But I don't have to know how to spell schizophrenia, do I?
No.
Okay, good.
Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with Janet. Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSUN Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Our Own Voice is intended to humanize the misunderstood, highly stigmatized topic of mental illness by showing that it's possible and common to live well with a mental health condition. So, Janet, what about your story could help our listeners gain a deeper understanding of mental health conditions and dispel the stereotypes and misconceptions?
Well, we have gone a lot of years and had good times and bad times with our son.
Hopefully it was more good times than bad times, right?
Well, yes, I suppose we could say that.
Okay, that's good.
But we have had a lot of hospitalizations, and we've had a lot of times without medication. And there are a certain percentage of people with schizophrenia and bipolar that do not have insight into their illness. And there's a big long word for it, which I won't even bother to tell you.
It starts with an A, and that's all I remember right now.
Yeah, but we feel like our son has that. But at this point, he takes his medicine regularly. He gets an injection monthly, and basically he takes his medicine to please us more than thinking he needs it himself. But he lives in his own apartment. He has his special cat, Captain, who's his special friend.
That's awesome.
Yes. He talks to Captain, and I'm Captain's grandmother. All this kind of stuff.
I don't see anything. I don't have a problem with that.
No,
Do
I
you?
don't. I don't
Okay,
either.
good.
No, that's fine with me. I have a grand cat. That's good. And his name is Captain.
I kind of have a problem with that.
You have a grandchild with 4 legs.
Yes.
I see.
And he purs.
I have a grandchild with 4 legs, and he barks.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's okay.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't get along with each other.
Probably not.
So I would say that, he's doing pretty good right now as far as being on his own. He has good wraparound services, and
Could you
does pretty well.
Could you tell us, when did you first realize that he had a problem? How old was he?
Okay, he was about 15 and a half. He was a straight A student through 8th grade, and he had no symptoms that we knew of or saw or anything, and so he started just having he started using drugs and alcohol and skipping school, and so those behaviors really scared us since he was still a teenager, and we didn't know if it was teenage rebellion or if something was wrong. And so it just took, those were the hardest years for us because we didn't know what to do. He wouldn't talk to us. It was really difficult at that time. But so it was really it was the behaviors that we noticed that didn't make sense to us. And
But
so,
the term for someone who uses drugs that aren't prescribed is they're self-medicating.
yes,
So he self-medicated at an early age. That's
Right.
when
He
he
did.
was a teenager.
yes,
And that changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would say, and this is the guess on my part, but
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the majority of parents go through this same scenario. But
Mm-hmm.
the difference is that your son had a little bit more of a problem than what you could be aware of or were aware of, right?
yes, definitely. Because my husband and I are both teachers. Plus, being a teacher and his mom, and the oldest child, I was going to fix him. I mean, he was the youngest of our kids, but I just thought I could, fix him. I went to school and we switched his courses around and we did everything we could possibly do, But it took 3 years, and finally we were able to get him to go see a psychiatrist at ComCare, and he's been with them ever since. He has a really good psychiatrist now that really cares a lot about him, and so we're very thankful.
And not to be too nosy, excuse
Mm-hmm.
me, but how old is he now?
He's 36,
Okay.
and we lived in southeast Kansas for his first 16 years, and so we were very thankful that we ended up where we are in this area because that's where the services are. So we really feel like we were led to be here.
Wonderful. I'm going to, I want to take a moment here to offer a thank you to our production team, David Peterson, executive producer, and Mike Padilla, Rhymes with Tortilla, our technical producer. And David, I'm sorry, I don't have something that rhymes with Peterson.
That's good. That's
Okay.
good.
So,
But you need to announce that beautiful music that we hear at the prelude was composed by yourself.
Well,
which
thank you.
It is fantastic.
Thank
It
you.
is. Very good.
I will note that this is Our Own Voice on KSUN Community Radio, and we are going to take another quick break, and we will be right back with Janet.
If you would like to learn more about the National Alliance on Mental Illness and how you can get involved in mental health advocacy, please visit our website at NAMI.org.
Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita at KSUN Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. So Janet, help our listeners understand that every person with a mental health condition can hope for a brighter future. In other words, what words of hope can you share with us about those who are living with mental illness and those family members and friends who are living with those with a mental illness?
Well, I know that there's much research going on, and new medications are coming out, as well as new therapies for those living with mental illness. And the research shows that if a person gets treatment right away after their first episode, that they have a very high percentage of recovery,
Yeah.
of good recovery. And so it's very important for families and friends to really encourage their loved ones who have a diagnosis to get their help and to get a treatment plan going, and to encourage them to stay with that.
Okay. And something that we were talking about during the break was the idea that talking about this
Yes.
actually can be beneficial and helpful, can it?
Right. Yes, they say the medication is just a beginning, and it's really so much more helpful if someone has a therapist that they can really bond with and really trust, and a therapist that really treats them like a person. They really care about them, and so they do much better if they go to a therapist as well as
Yeah.
you know.
For myself, not just a therapist, but I also tell my story and talk to those to my friends and to my family about my story and
Yes.
share with them about that. So just sharing and talking about this story and this experience. And I'm assuming the same thing goes for family members. Is that true?
Yes, in our family to family class, we have one class on communication and talking about communicating, ways of better communicating with our loved ones, and also being willing to share with other people that have similar experiences. I mean, that's what family to family class is all about, and it's a real bonding experience, and as well as our groups that we have, our meetings, the NAMI meetings that we have, support groups for both family members and those living with mental illness. It just is very therapeutic to kind of give each other updates on how we're doing, and there's tears and there's laughter, and at those meetings, and so there is hope. There's always hope, and we are a family of faith, and we pray for our son daily, and we know many other people are praying for him as well. And God has sent people in his path at times when he was in great danger, or times it's just been really helpful to have that faith community as well. So I think medication, talking, having people you trust that you can talk to, and having your faith is all very important.
We've talked on this program several times about people's fear of medication.
Yes.
And there is, and even jokes about, they're off their meds, and that's why they act that way, and so on and so forth. But that's just a part of it, isn't it?
It is, and it makes it difficult when those with a mental illness have a addiction problem first, and then they are required to go through addiction treatment. They learn that they shouldn't be taking drugs. Well, then they get in the mental health system, and they're telling them,
"Oh, here's some drugs.
you
Take
have
these."
you have to take this medicine.
Interesting.
And so our son was just like, "No, I don't. I'm not supposed to be taking any drugs."
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
And so that
the conundrum that we run into,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yes.
I'm going to have to break in right now. David, do you have time to share with us some insight or information?
Just a little bit. I'd like maybe in the next segment too, but what Janet is talking about is real in NAMI. We have support groups that meet every third Tuesday of the month, both for the family members and those with mental illness. And we have great turnouts. It's a good way to share your story. It's a good way to shed some tears, and know that maybe you're not the only one in this world that has this type of challenge, because there are other people that are having the exact same problems. And it's something that we really want to emphasize, that we can maybe be of support to you. But give me a call to 686-1373, 686-1373, and I'll give you all the information I can on NAMI.
And we are going to take another quick break, and we will be right back with Janet. Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSUN Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And David, we rather rushed it last segment. We didn't give you enough time. So how about you give us that phone number again and tell us again the information that you have.
Yes, NAMI's local phone number is 686-1373. And if you call that, I will try to give you as much information as I can about all of our programs. Janet was talking about the family-to-family class. We offer that normally in the falls and the springs. So, and the same way with our peer-to-peer class. We try to offer it at least twice a year.
And something about the classes. What's the cost on the classes?
We do not charge anything. We want people to get involved and for their own benefit. And we supply a nice book that gives a lot of explanations, and we try to go through that book. The family-to-family class is 12 weeks long, and it's very, very much recovery type for the family person. It gets them to have more empathy towards their family member.
But you do have to make a commitment to do that over a 12-week period.
That is correct. That's the best way to do it, is to stay committed to it.
I say, but it does show that people are there to help you.
Yes.
And you want to help the people that are out there.
Yes, and Janet does an excellent job of that.
You can't go to Quick Trip and buy automatic healing stuff. It takes a while, doesn't it?
This does not heal anything either. It just gives us a better understanding.
And so that's what we're talking about, education and understanding.
Right, and to have some more empathy for our loved ones.
Okay. Just trying to get the audience to perhaps understand a little bit better about what you guys want to do. Just want to help them, right?
That is correct. We are a nonprofit organization, and none of us have salaries. We just want to help people understand mental illness. And the main thing is reduce the stigma. So please give me a call. I'll try to return it personally, 686-1373, 686-1373, and we'll get back with you, send you some information.
Yeah, and I do want to underscore that one thing that's wonderful about the family-to-family groups is you guys have some really good snacks.
Bravo.
Yes, we do.
Now,
we don't forget to eat.
Now, if you just give me the address, I'll be there.
Yeah. Let me tell you, they are some great snacks.
Really?
So, yes.
Ooh, you're so enticing.
So, Janet, what can we say to our audience to wrap things up? We have hope. We have help. We have, I know what I was going to ask you. What are some coping skills that you as a family member have developed in coping with the illness?
Well, one thing is you come to a point where you realize if there's something you personally cannot change, you realize that it is a lifetime illness and it's not going to be cured unless some new research comes out, then you can accept the fact that this is reality. And then you go from there. You readjust your expectations and your goals for your loved one. And, you love them and accept them the way they are and encourage them to just be the best they can be, and it's not a bad thing. Continue to love them and try not to do too much for them, but, encourage them to do all they can for themselves and just keep in touch. And
I thought she was going to say one of her coping skills was bowling.
It might be, yeah. I don't know. Are you a bowler?
No.
You're not? Okay.
But that would be one, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would be. In fact, I think we've had someone in the past who mentioned that
Yes,
bowling was one of their coping skills.
So
Yeah.
let's ask her again. What are your famous coping skills? Do you have any? Are we putting you on the spot now?
I guess it's advocacy. I guess it's working.
It's
with,
being a part of the situation.
Yeah, being involved in NAMI and being involved with our son and sharing with those that we come in contact with. It's given us a lot of opportunities.
So what I usually
And-
say is you work for the forces of good as opposed to the forces of evil, right?
Yeah.
Bravo, bravo.
Well, my husband and I do like to ride our bike. We have a tandem bike,
Oh,
and
well,
we
that's it.
I guess
the
that's our coping skill.
Yes.
That's right. And
Get fresh air and
I love it
exercise.
because it's scenic.
Yes.
You have scenic coping skills.
Yes.
Excellent.
And I love to read. I read a lot.
Yes, reading is one of my coping
Nonfiction.
skills.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I guess that's where we bring you to a close. This is Our Own Voice on KSUN Community Radio. Thank you, Janet, for talking with us. Thank you, David, for giving us that wonderful information. What is that number again?
686-1373.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.